good morning. Welcome to Chapter 10 of the Story of the Cosmos. If it is morning where you are, or if it's evening, or if you like tea or coffee, grab some. We're going to have a wonderful discussion about Dr. Holly Ordway's chapter today. Chapter 10, it is Recovering a Vision of the Cosmos, Tolkien's creation narrative in the Silmarillion. So shout out to Dr. Ordway. She was my writing coach at Houston Baptist University, helped me to improve my writing, and one reason why I was able to get a chapter in this book. Michael Ward was also my thesis advisor at Houston Baptist University, so it was a privilege and an honor to be in this book with Holly and Michael. Holly's is a wonderful chapter. She talks about one of Tolkien's lesser-known works. If you're not a J.R.R. Tolkien fan, maybe you've not heard of the Silmarillion. Most people know Tolkien from The Hobbit, of course, and The Lord of the Rings. Perhaps Tolkien is the father of modern fantasy literature, but you don't have to know much about J.R.R. Tolkien. You don't even have to be familiar with The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit to appreciate Holly's chapter. She gives you a wonderful... if you're a Tolkien fan, this will be a great chapter. If you don't know anything about Tolkien, this will still be a very wonderful and redemptive chapter to read. But before we do, of course, I like to open with a little scripture. Job 38. Job chapter 38. Now, if you know the book of Job, Job 38 is where God finally speaks to Job. Job has been suffering a great deal, doesn't know what's going on. His friends are telling him one thing. His wife's upset with him. He's lost his family members. He's lost possessions. He's lost camel. He's lost sheep. You know, the poor guy has gone through quite a bit. And God finally speaks to him. And in the latter 2 or 3 chapters of Job is the longest uninterrupted discourse of God speaking in the Bible. But one of the first things that God says to Job when he does appear to Job in the whirlwind is he questions Job about creation. It's a series of rhetorical questions about creation. And so really from God's perspective, the problem of evil as we see it, God addresses it through a meditation on creation. And the first couple of questions God asks to Job is, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now prepare yourself like a man, and I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundations fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and the sons of God shouted for joy. Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades, or loose the belt of Orion? Can you bring out a constellation in its season, or can you guide the great bear with her cubs? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you set their dominion over the earth? It's just a wonderful passage. What is it? What are the morning stars singing, the sons of God shouting at the completion of the heavens and the earth? So this is Job 38 and forward is like an extended commentary on Genesis to some degree. And then lastly, we have a scripture in John, one of my favorites, that I think resonates with the theme of what we've been talking about throughout the story of the cosmos. If you've been following along for a while, you know I've been talking about spoons and dishes and the oddity of a little childhood nursery rhyme in Mother Goose and how that's applicable, that this simple idea of a dish running away with a spoon can be a tied together, woven throughout creation. Jesus used things that were common to people: sheep, wine, trees, birds, grains of sand, mustard seed, lots of things in nature with which people would have been intimately familiar. And it's almost like creation itself. Well, creation itself is a place that God has prepared for us, and not just a place where we can survive, but a place that is beautiful, a place where we can contemplate, spending time contemplating the beauty of what God has made. And I love what Jesus says to his disciples who are troubled in spirit, and Jesus says, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." And then he says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go and prepare a place for you." And it is clear to us as Christians that God has prepared for us a place here on earth to sojourn. And he has prepared many places for us. The very place where you are now has been prepared for you by God, and the very places that you will go in the future are also at this moment being prepared for you to go there. But as we are in creation, as we are embodied creatures in creation, one of the things that we have lost touch with, Holly argues in her chapter, is that our distracted, technological, screen-oriented, busy culture, the frenetic pace of television, the internet, cell phones, our heads are constantly bowed down looking at our phones. We don't talk to each other. We don't experience creation in the body. We are glued to our phones and we don't look up. We don't look all around us. We don't look at the beauty of nature. We've lost that. And Holly talks about the distractedness of our modern era and how that has prevented us from seeing the glory of God in the heavens and the earth. Of course, light pollution in the major cities. And then, of course, in our cars, going for a walk is a lot different than driving in our car, of course. She points out how Tolkien absolutely loved to study nature. He had his two favorite subjects were botany and astronomy. He loved flowers. He loved trees. He loved nature. And if you've ever read Lord of the Rings, you know how intimately acquainted Tolkien was with his surroundings and his environment. It's like the Lord of the Rings is an act of worship for Tolkien. His response as a sub-creator, as one created in the image of God, creating back to God, giving a response in worship. Some people write songs, some people build buildings. Tolkien wrote a narrative that has had lasting impact on people for generations. And one of the reasons for its success is because of how well Tolkien paid attention to and could describe creation in great and wonderful and inspiring detail. And so Holly goes into great lengths to bring us into Tolkien's world and how he contemplated nature and how he used that contemplative, sensitive circumspection, his investigation, his love, his delight in creation, how he brought all that into his stories. Now, the Silmarillion is basically Tolkien's Genesis story. It parallels Genesis in a lot of ways. It's not meant to be a one-to-one correlation of Genesis. It wasn't it's not an allegory of Genesis. It's Tolkien's worshipful response to his creator through his writing, his responsive worship to the God who made him. But there's also an essay that I encourage you to read before we go any further in the video, is to read Tolkien's On Fairy Stories. It's a great story, and it's a great essay. It talks about our need for recovery, our need to recover a vision of nature, our need to go back and appreciate and to look at the stars and to know the stars and to look at birds and to look at trees and to look at bees and squirrels and flowers and see them afresh, see them anew. Recovery, it's what we do when we go on vacation. Recreation, recreating, renewing, as Romans 12, 1 and 2 says, be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And so we need a renewed vision. We need to sort of take off our modern glasses, clean the lens a little bit, right? Whoa, I can see, right? Tolkien encourages us. His writings, Lord of the Rings, the Silmarillion, take us out of our world. We go into a recreational sort of vacation through Tolkien's world, and then we come out of it with a renewed and a deeper appreciation of our own creation. Holly quotes Tolkien as saying this: recovery, which includes renewal and return and renewal of health, is a regaining of a clear view. I do not say seeing things as they are and involve myself with the philosophers, though I might venture to say seeing things as we are or were meant to see them as things apart from ourselves. We've become satisfied with images, like videos and pictures, and we post them on Facebook and social media. And those become kind of a surrogate for actually going out and experiencing creation in the body, being incarnately participating in creation, going to Yosemite, going to the Grand Canyon, going to Joshua Tree National Park in Yucca Valley, where my mom lives, going to a botanical garden near you and experiencing nature in the body rather than just taking pictures of it and posting them on social media. We need that incarnate participation in creation in order to appreciate it more. And last night when I came home, I can see the Milky Way where I am. And last night there was the Milky Way, the planet Saturn. Right below Saturn is one of the oldest stars star names on record. Nunki in the constellation of Sagittarius. It's a 5 million mile diameter blue giant star. And then just to the west was the amber diadem of Jupiter blazing there in the heavens. And then just below Jupiter, the beautiful pulsing heart of Scorpius, Antares, the 700 million mile diameter huge red giant sun, all just hanging there in the vastness of the heavens. And I could see it. The Milky Way, Saturn, Jupiter, Antares, Nunki. It was a wonderful sight. It's going to be repeated again tonight. It's beautiful if you can get out under dark skies and see those kinds of things. But that's what Tolkien's writing, Holly argues, can do for us. It can take us into a fantasy world for a time and bring us out with a deeper and a more renewed appreciation of our own creation. Holly concludes her chapter with a quote from Tolkien talking about the Gospels. Tolkien says, "The Gospels contain a fairy story, or a story of a larger kind, which embraces all the essence of fairy stories. But this story has entered history and the primary world. The desire and aspiration of subcreation has been raised to the fulfillment of creation. This story is supreme, and it is true. Art has been verified. God is the Lord of angels, of men, and of elves. Legend and history have met and fused." And Tolkien, like Lewis, both argue that creation is the ultimate fairy story. It's the true fairy story, of which all others are a derivative. But the Gospels contain the truest of true stories, that the creator of the heavens and the earth came down to tell us that he has prepared a place for us and that he will come again to receive us so that we may be with him forever. So if nothing else, I hope this chapter summary has encouraged you to turn off the YouTube, turn off the cell phone, go find a dark sky spot, go find some stars, go to a botanical garden, go through a walk through a forest, plan a trip to Yosemite, go to the Grand Canyon, go visit Joshua Tree National Forest. Go get yourself out into nature in body and contemplate and think about and meditate about God's love for you and about God's beauty revealed in what he has made. So thanks for joining me this morning. Chapter 11 is next with the preeminent Christian philosopher and theologian, Dr. William Lane Craig. He will be talking about creation ex nihilo, God creating out of nothing. It will be a fascinating chapter. Stay tuned.